Hey everyone, it's QuickyBaby and welcome back to World of Tanks, and today's video is going to be all about just playing better. Now, what kind of a title is that? Am I saying that, oh, I'm going to play so much better this game because I'm just going to focus on it? Well, yes and no. I mean, sometimes you have those wake-up moments where you realize that you're playing badly and you really need to step your game up, especially when you're playing for several hours, or as what this replay spawned from when I was doing the mission marathon to try and get the EBR 75. But no, it's really spawned from because that's the answer that I give to when some people just ask me, oh, how can I improve my win ratio? You just got to play better, right? It's not going to be an easy thing. It's going to be taking a lot of steps. Sometimes it's going to take tens of hours, hundreds of hours of practice inside anything to be able to get better at it. You've got to change the way that you think. You've got to be more objective about how you assess the situation. And that's so there's no easy way for me to be able to say. It's just hard work. But also you can accelerate that by watching content on the internet. Now, I don't really do this for World of Tanks, but for other titles, I watch a hell of a lot of videos. I watch a lot of my favorite streamers and YouTubers who either just make me giggle or alternatively they help me actually play a little bit better. For example, recently I've been watching a lot of Welland's videos in Rust, and I kind of really want to go back and be playing that. I've also noticed a few tips and tricks from his videos about what possibly I could do to make my base stronger, or alternatively how to raid more intelligently. But that's beside the point. Let's focus on World of Tanks. Let's not talk about Rust. And so, right now, what am I going to do differently? Well, the first thing is that I'm going to establish, okay, I'm alone on this flank. What point is there of me of advancing forwards and getting isolated and getting caught in the dip? Many of you will know that I usually say dip or die. Well, that's because I think that is how important taking the southeast corner of this map is. However, I truly think that it is going to be dip and then die in this scenario if I had pushed on. So instead, I'm playing in my tier 7 Italian medium tank. And I decided, okay, well, why don't I just hang back a little bit and try and set an ambush for the enemy team and try and make my team useful. That's what I'm going to be focusing on in this video, and specifically this round of World of Tanks. That look at all of the glut of players that are hiding behind me. Well, not hiding behind me, they're just sitting in base. A lot of people love to sit in this location. It provides them lots of opportunities to shoot all the way across the map. Now, if I was to go off by myself, I would effectively isolate myself and not be able to put them in the game. On the other hand, what I can do is I can hold back, get myself into position, and then use that gun line to my advantage. Now, this is a pretty nice shot there over on the Type 62 turret. And that's an important one to lock down because that tier 7 Chinese premium light tank has quite good DPM with the 85mm. Next, we're going to lock down the tracks of the Bat Chatillon 12T. And lo and behold, look at that, 485 tracking, and so we get to finish him off. Now, there's a Tiger P making his way over the slope. Now, have a quick look to my left to make sure there's no one else behind me, and I notice there is actually a Black Prince coming over. And also there's a Type 59 that's decided to come that way round. So I lock down the tracks of the Tiger P, and now I'm going to use the Tiger P as a meat shield. I look at the Black Prince. I see the Type 59 flanking to my left. I see the Black Prince isn't going to push over against me, so I don't need to lock down his tracks. So instead I'm going to focus my attention to the Type 59 to my side while using the Tiger P's wreck as a means of cover. And then lo and behold, this Type 59 is probably thinking, oh, what has happened here? We had about 5-6 tanks advancing at this location, but they haven't really managed to achieve much. And that's because look at the 3,000 spotting. I'm not going to be able to kill my opponents quick enough when I only have 1,800 damage per minute as you do in this vehicle. However, if you manage to get yourself into a position where you can play defensively but also allow your allies to be more effective, not even just about through spotting. If you can assist them and you can go with them and then you can stop them from getting overwhelmed by the enemy team, especially when you're in your bottom tier matchmaking in 3-tier spreads, maybe you're in +2, right? And it's about still making yourself as effective as possible and playing the support role and going with that big, juicy, tasty, heavy tank on your team, and not allowing him to get isolated might be enough to be able to make the difference in the battle. And so we turn what could have been a dip and die situation here actually into a gigantic win for my tank, both statistically with a goodness, 5,500 combined there. 4 kills and a dramatic win. Next up, we're playing the T-34-85, and I almost want to say, and well, actually, I definitely do, because having played several hundred games at Tier 6 over the last month, I can tell you just how much the T-34-85M is completely overpowered. Seeing them on my own team, I was kind of happy because it would mean that I was more likely to win the battle, but seeing them on the enemy team was just absolutely brutal because you usually get matched up against them and their vehicle can bounce frontally with its 75mm of armor. This thing's slumming it with 45mm. I believe that the other tank has the better rate of fire and all of that going with it. And apart from, I think, raw engine power, which you get when you finally get the top engine on the T-3485, it's just not even right. And I have to admit, having played my free-to-play account so much recently, it makes me notice more than ever the imbalances in the premium tanks can make a huge difference of the overall balancing at the individual tiers and just make for less interesting games, at least for the majority of players, right? Alright, so we're playing on Ensk here and we're in bottom tier matchmaking. We're against some tier 8 vehicles. So I was trying to think about how I was going to approach this battle. Now there's a T-71 right down the center. I only noticed him a little bit too late, but luckily we managed to get ourselves into position and avoid one of his shells. I'm looking for the second shot to see if I can manage to hit this T-71 and seeing if he was going to shoot me, but he wasn't to be. Alright, anyway, let's not focus on the micro, let's focus on the macro and the meta of this battle. So the reason why I love sitting in the middle here is that when I have my binocular setup, I can just lock down vision all the way from the top to the bottom of this map, and that can allow you in turn to be able to cut off a part of the map. Now we're going to see something that honestly I'm just ashamed of. My brain, you can see, like, I am visually shaken as to that shot. Look at that. I was doing the mission marathon at this stage, and I think I was just in like a sleeper state. I think I was just going along, putting yourself in position. I had to play sometimes 10 hours a day for a couple of days in a row. And I just had this awful moment where I realized that's possibly one of the worst shots I have ever done in World of Tanks. And I think it kind of like clicked on me, right? Okay, you know what? I'm going to try and make up for it. I can't end this game on -1. Let's see if we can come back into this and make up for the terrible shot that I put into Ensk on my team. Well, that's a good start, right? At least I managed to shut down the Skoda T25. Although it was a bit risky because I kind of risked shooting the Chinese light tank, the WZ-131, on my team. I have to admit, while I didn't say sorry in-game at the time, I did message Ensk afterwards and apologized for my poor aim and just greediness. I honestly thought that I was saving the guy in a part of my mind there, and in fact I was actually dooming him to have to go back to the garage. Alright, let's not dwell on that anymore. Let's focus on what we need to do, and that is to put some pressure on this T-71 CMCD. Now the CMCD is the vehicle that only has the single shotgun, and so he doesn't have an autoloader. And so really what I should be doing right now is trying to push him without getting shot by the IKV-65. Now I realize if I go up this slope that I'm not going to quite have enough gun depression, but there's going to be a tiny little shot here that I can put into the gent's tracks, lock him still, and allow my WZ-131 to pick up the kill. Alright. Nice, bit better, right? We managed to take down a vehicle, well, a higher tier vehicle. It's also a light tank, and hopefully start to switch the momentum back into the favor of our team. Alright, so in this situation, I was thinking, look at those 2 tier 8 tanks in the southwest. If they just die for nothing, it's over. If you allow your 2 top tier vehicles as a bottom tier tank to die for no reason, or should I say, for no losses on the enemy team, yeah, you might as well just Alt F4, because unless you have some kind of heroic battle and the enemies are absolutely terrible, you're not coming back into it. And so I could have gone north, I could have flanked around with the IS, and I could have flanked around with the Tiger, but instead what I realized at that moment is that I need to get into position and try to punish the enemy as much as I can possibly can while my 2 tier 8s are dying, because obviously they're going to have the highest hit points, they're going to have the highest damage output. Either I can prevent them from dying altogether, or at least the enemies are going to focus on them, and then that should allow me to get some side shots, and that's exactly what happened there. We put 2 decent side shots there into the tier 8 vehicles. Doesn't look like it kept the Scorpion alive, but the Pantera does manage to actually pick up a kill there and is still going to be distracting the Oho. Alright, so right now we're in a 4 versus 6 situation, and there are going to be multiple vehicles pressuring the cap circle. Now I do fire, I think, a premium round there into the KV-85, and that's because I thought that I was going to have to shoot Japanese heavies here, but instead I'm having to shoot the Tiger P. So I put 1 into him, and I know that I will have the better reload. I aim for the side there, but it looks like it actually hits the mid plate. If that hits the mid plate and it pens, then I'm lucky. But now we're firing standard ammunition, and I line up my third person view through the wall there, and actually hit the Oni's tracks. I weaken the tracks, and then the second shell takes them off. And oh yeah, it doesn't matter if you're a Japanese heavy. From this kind of a position, having locked the vehicle down, don't need to shoot his tracks anymore, mind you, so there's no point in shooting the tracks there, so I actually aim up into the hull. And the Oh-Ho has managed to finish off the Pantera, and I don't want to get caught out by him. Now there's a platoon of M4A3 E8s on the enemy team, and those I believe are the derpy tanks with the incredible frontal armor. I think they're the assault Shermans. I always kind of mess up the name for some reason. I'm a bit of a muppet there. Probably am in this scenario as well. But at the time I was thinking, okay, derp guns, derp guns, derp guns. Okay, finish this one off, and then make my way around the corner and try and flank the EZ8 as well. And then are we able to get him? Yes, we are. And yeah, we kept our frontal armor enough to him. He doesn't fire a heat round. And so firing through the mid plate and not the lower plate of that vehicle is actually the way to take them out. Although I'm still not even sure if that is the assault Sherman or not. I have to check after the game. I feel like a bit of a muppet right now. But what a comeback, right? From being absolute sleepy baby at the start of the battle, TKing Honzik like an absolute power scrub, we managed to pick up 6 kills on the trot against even higher tiered tanks. And now there is just one vehicle left remaining on the enemy team. It's the Oh-Ho. And I don't want to get caught out by him right now, but I also need to try and pressure him. I see that he's not aiming at me. We're going to put one through his side armor. We're going to drive at him. He's going to try and ram me. And he's actually going to turn his gun towards the Tiger there. I guess what the Oh-Ho was thinking is maybe I can ram the T-34-85, and then he was already thinking about shooting the Tiger. Well, with some nippy, evasive maneuvers, basically one of the only truly good things about this vehicle at Tier 6 is its top engine, which gives the vehicle a fairly decent mobility. We're able to avoid the Japanese Super Heavy to secure our 8th kill of the game, but again, unfortunately, one of those was on our team, so I can't feel proud about that one. So our first round in the P-43 was a LIVESTREAMS medal. That's for destroying 2 enemy vehicles that are higher tier than you in a medium tank, and for that amount of spotting that we were able to do, and the damage, wow, that's a result. 1,533 in this vehicle. I will take that to the bank. And in fact, even though I played this vehicle free to play and I didn't have the best crews on it, and I even grinded it while the vehicle was pretty much stock, I ended up doing just very well in this tank. Decent win ratio, not the best damage, but I was more happy about the win ratio of the vehicle, probably because I was trying to spot, right? And considering this vehicle has 165 millimeters of penetration on its standard rounds, this vehicle really surprised me as an all-round performer for a free-to-play mid-tier medium. And just to correct my stupidity, now I realize why it's called the EZ8, right? It's called the EZ8 because it's the M4A3 E8. And the E8 is one of the easiest vehicles to penetrate at Tier 6, as long as you don't shoot that mid-plate, so I mean lower plate, like a donkey. But you can clearly tell that I've got some kind of PTSD from the M4A3E2, which just has that wonderful, amazing armor. And even the mid-plate on this vehicle, while it's significantly weaker than the lower plate and even the lower mid-plate, it's still rather darn awesome. Next up on Ensk, this was an Oskins medal for destroying 3 vehicles that were higher tier than us, a Top Gun, 4 out of 7 kills and 1,474 base experience, and even though we fired a few premium rounds here, we would have made a profit with or without a premium account, even considering the fine that we got for killing Honzik. And so, just play better. It's kind of my cheeky answer to anyone who asks me, oh, how can I improve my win ratio in World of Tanks? Well, outside of dropping down tiers where the game is easier, or playing overpowered vehicles, or playing in platoons with players who are much better than the average, there's no easy way to do it. It's just about practice. It's about being objective in your analysis of your mistakes, so you can notice them and you can hopefully not repeat them, or at least learn from them. And in the end, all of it really just boils down into hard practice. Either way, I just hope that some of you got something from this video and that you enjoyed me featuring mid-tier tanks which don't have 5 skill crews and don't just slaughter premium rounds at their opponents, or that I'm not playing overpowered premium tanks. If you did enjoy the video, consider giving it a thumbs up, but if you hated it, make sure you give it a thumbs down, and let me know in the comments down below, what are your tips and tricks for someone on how to stay balanced in World of Tanks, and more importantly, how to stay consistent in your performance. And as always, thank you so much for watching. You've been epic, and hopefully I'll see you soon.